The rain hammered the roof like accusations, each drop a reminder of the silence that had swallowed their home whole. Lincoln stood frozen in the doorway, watching the taillights of his parents' overloaded truck blur into the storm-slicked highway, vanishing toward a new life in Oregon without a backward glance. At 19, he was left with nothing but the echo of his father's final words, "This isn't our son anymore," and the crushing weight of a love he'd dared to name, now branded a curse that drove his family across state lines to erase him. That night, as thunder rattled the empty house in rural Ohio, Lincoln collapsed onto the threadbare couch, the scent of his mother's lavender soap still clinging to the cushions like a ghost. He'd known it was coming, ever since that humid July evening when his best friend Jamie had leaned in during a backyard bonfire, their lips brushing in a tentative kiss that ignited everything and destroyed it all. The confession had spilled out the next morning over breakfast pancakes, turning to ash in his mouth as his father's face hardened like forged steel, and his mother's eyes filled with a grief that cut deeper than anger. "You're killing us, Link," she'd whispered, her voice breaking. "We can't watch this. This sin unravel our lives." They'd packed in secret, selling the farm piecemeal, whispering about fresh starts in Portland where the rain might wash away the shame. But for Lincoln, the rain only amplified the void, turning his world into a relentless downpour of isolation. He didn't cry, then not fully. Instead, he wandered the empty rooms, tracing fingerprints on dusty windows, piecing together fragments of a childhood that now felt like a lie. The baseball glove his dad had bought him at 12, the one they'd used for endless catch sessions in the cornfields, hung limp from a nail in the garage. Lincoln's fingers lingered on it, remembering how those same hands had clapped his back after home runs, how they'd ruffled his hair with pride. Now, those hands had signed the papers to abandon him, fleeing to a state where progressive whispers might drown out their conservative echoes. But really, to bury the boy who'd shattered their perfect Protestant facade. By dawn, the storm had passed, leaving a sky bruised purple and a resolve hardening in Lincoln's chest. He was alone, but not broken not yet. Grabbing his backpack, he stuffed in a few clothes. The family Bible his mom had left behind, ironic, he thought, given the verses they'd hurled at him like weapons, and a crumpled photo of the three of them at the county fair, smiles wide and unscarred. The truck keys were gone, but the old bicycle in the shed would do. He pedaled into town, the wind whipping tears he finally allowed, heading for the Greyhound station on the edge of Mansfield. Cleveland was his destination, bigger, anonymous, a place where a gay kid from the heartland might blend into the shadows and start over. The bus ride north was a blur of flat farmlands giving way to the steel sprawl of the city, Lincoln's mind replaying the fallout like a looped nightmare. It had started small, the furtive glances at the high school locker room, the way his heart stuttered around Jamie's easy laugh and sun-kissed freckles. They'd been inseparable since Little League, bonding over stolen sips of root beer and dreams of escaping Ohio's chokehold. But when feelings deepened into something electric, undeniable, Lincoln had convinced himself it was a phase until Jamie's kiss under the stars confirmed it was his truth. Coming out to his parents had been an act of desperate hope, a plea for the unconditional love preached from their church pews every Sunday. Instead, it unleashed a torrent. His father, Tom, a stoic auto mechanic with calluses etched like war stories, had retreated into silence. Then rage. "The Bible don't lie. Boy, this ain't natural." His mother, Ellen, fluttered between denial and despair, clutching rosaries and murmuring prayers for deliverance. Therapy sessions in secret. Conversion pamphlets slipped under his door. They'd tried to fix him, but Lincoln's spirit rebelled, raw and unyielding. The move was their ultimatum: stay and pretend, or watch them go. He couldn't pretend. So they left, hearts armored in fear. convinced distance would heal their fractured faith. Cleveland greeted him with indifferent grit, towering mills belching smoke. Streets alive with immigrants hawking falafel and knockoff jerseys. Lincoln crashed on a cousin's lumpy futon in Lakewood, a working-class enclave where the lake winds carried the tang of industry. Days blurred into shifts at a diner slinging hash browns to truckers. Nights spent in dive bars nursing cheap beers. Eyes scanning for connection amid the haze of cigarette smoke. He was a ghost in his own skin. 20 now. His frame wiry from skipped meals. Dark hair grown shaggy to hide the boyishness that still haunted him. It was there, in the dim glow of the rusty anchor, that he met Elias. The bar was a haven for the city's underground queer scene, leather jackets slung over stools. Laughter laced with coded glances. Elias slid onto the stool beside him, all sharp cheekbones and mischievous hazel eyes. His laugh like a spark in the gloom. "You look like you could use a story that doesn't end in heartbreak," he'd said, clinking his glass against Lincoln's untouched pint. At 25, Elias was a graphic designer by day, activist by night. With tattoos snaking up his arms like declarations of survival, rainbow thorns wrapping a faded Ohio outline on his forearm. Their conversation flowed like the Cuyahoga River after a thaw, Elias drawing out Lincoln's guarded tales with gentle probes. "Family's a battlefield sometimes," Elias murmured, his voice a low rumble that soothed the ache. "Mine shipped me off to boarding school in 8th grade when they caught me with my best friend's diary full of sketches of boys. Thought distance would straighten me out. Joke's on them. I came back gayer than a pride float." Lincoln laughed for the first time in months. The sound rusty, but real. By closing time, they'd stumbled into the alley, Elias's hand brushing his, igniting a fire Lincoln had banked low. What followed was a whirlwind of stolen moments, lazy Sundays tangled in Elias's tiny apartment overlooking the lake, where sunlight danced on their skin as they traced maps of each other's scars. Elias taught him to navigate the scene protests at City Hall for marriage equality. Underground poetry slams where words like queer were reclaimed weapons. Lincoln bloomed under it, his diner tips funding thrift store button-downs and a buzz cut that framed his angular face with quiet confidence. Love, he learned, wasn't the polite fiction of rom-coms. It was messy, fervent, an anchor in the storm. But shadows lingered. Letters from Oregon arrived sporadically, at first stiff postcards from his mother, detailing the damp beauty of the Willamette Valley, the new church with its welcoming hymns that sidestepped the hard truths. "We're praying for you, Link. Come to Jesus," she'd write. The subtext a chasm. His father sent nothing. Silence his verdict. Lincoln burned the cards in the sink one night, the flames curling like accusations. Elias holding him as sobs racked his frame. "They don't get to define you," Elias whispered, fierce and tender. "You're home here, with me." Yet home was a fragile construct. Elias's job took him to Chicago for a month-long gig, leaving Lincoln adrift in the apartment's echoing quiet. Boredom bred doubt. He scrolled old photos on a borrowed laptop, the fairground smiles mocking him. A Google search for Tom and Ellen Hargrove Portland yielded nothing, privacy settings tight. Lives rebuilt in earnest. The ache sharpened, a dull throb that no amount of bar hopping dulled. One crisp October evening, as leaves skittered across Edgewater Park, Lincoln's phone buzzed with an unknown number. He almost ignored it, but the 503 area code Oregon froze him. "Lincoln, it's Mom." Her voice was a ghost, thinner than he remembered, laced with something brittle. We need to talk. Please." The line crackled with unspoken years, and in that pause, Lincoln felt the hook of the past reel him back. The rain starting again outside like an old, unforgiving friend. The call ended abruptly, Ellen's words tumbling out in fragments. "Your father's sick. Link." Real sick. And God, we've been such fools. Lincoln stared at the phone, heart pounding like a freight train through his ribs. The park's distant waves crashing in echo. Sick. The word landed like a gut punch, conjuring images of his dad bent over engine blocks, grease-streaked and unbreakable. How many years had it been? 4. Going on 5 time measured in missed birthdays. In the slow erosion of hope. He didn't call back that night. Instead, he paced Elias's apartment, the walls closing in with their framed protest posters and half-read queer theory books. Elias returned the next day, arms laden with takeout pierogies, his brow furrowing at Lincoln's haunted eyes. Talk to me, babe. Over greasy plates on the fire escape, Lincoln spilled a voice from the void, the plea laced with regret. Elias listened, thumb tracing soothing circles on Lincoln's knee. You don't owe them shit, he said finally, eyes fierce. But if there's a piece of you that needs closure, go. I'll be here when the dust settles. Closure. The word mocked him as he booked a red-eye flight on Expedia, fingers trembling over the keyboard. Cleveland to Portland via Denver. $189 round trip. The cheapest armor he could afford. Work at the diner granted him a week's leave, family emergency. He lied to his boss. The irony bitter. He packed light, jeans, hoodies. The old family photo now creased from endless folds. Elias drove him to the airport at dawn, their goodbye kiss salty with unsaid fears. Text me from the gate, Elias murmured, pressing a keychain rainbow flag into his palm. And remember, you're not their son Anna Marie Lincoln Hargrove. Unbreakable. The flight was a purgatory of recycled air and turbulence. Lincoln's mind a whirlwind of what-ifs. What if they hadn't changed? What if the illness was a ploy? A hook to drag him back into the fold? The Rockies unfolded below like jagged accusations. A reminder of the chasms he'd crossed. Landing in Portland, the air hit him cool and pine-scented. A far cry from Ohio's humid embrace or Cleveland's urban grit. He rented a beat-up Chevy at the airport, GPS directing him to a suburb called Beaverton, rows of tidy ranch houses with manicured lawns. The American dream repackaged in evergreens. The address led to a split-level home, paint peeling like old skin. A for sale sign crooked in the yard. Lincoln's stomach knotted as he pulled up, engine ticking in the silence. The door opened before he could knock. His mother framed their Ellen, 62 now. Her once vibrant curls streaked silver, face etched with lines that spoke of sleepless vigils. Link, she breathed, eyes welling as she pulled him into a hug that smelled of chamomile and regret. He stiffened at first, then melted, the familiarity of balm and a blade. Inside, the house was a museum of half-lives, faded quilts from their Ohio farm. A cross-stitched home is where the heart is on the wall, ironic in its perch. Tom lay in the living room recliner, hooked to an oxygen tank that hissed softly, his frame shrunken under a plaid blanket. The man who'd loomed like a oak was now brittle, cheeks hollowed, eyes still that piercing gray flickering with something raw. Son, he rasped, voice gravel from disuse, extending a hand veined and trembling. Lincoln took it, the grip weak but insistent, a lifeline across the abyss. They talked in fits and starts over weak coffee. Ellen fluttering with sandwiches she couldn't eat. Tom's diagnosis stage for lung cancer. Caught late after years of chain-smoking Marlboros in garage solitude had stripped the pretense. We thought moving would fix it, she confessed, tears tracing familiar paths. Fix us. You coming out. It broke us. Link. Your dad couldn't reconcile it with the church, with the man he thought he raised. I was scared off losing friends, of what the neighbors would say. So we ran. To this green hell. pretending you didn't exist. Tom coughed, the sound wet and wrenching, waving off her apologies. I was wrong. He ground out, eyes locking on Lincoln's. Bible-thumping fool. Hiding behind verses caused facing myself was harder. Watched every pride march on the news here. Saw the fights you all wage. Realized too late I was the sinner, casting stones at my own blood. Lincoln's throat tightened, words tangling. He'd rehearsed fury on the plain accusations of abandonment, of trading love for dogma. But seeing them cracked open, vulnerable in their twilight, it dissolved into something softer, sadder. I didn't stop being your son, he said quietly. You just stopped seeing me. The week unfolded in fragile truce, mornings driving Tom to chemo in the drizzle, afternoons with Ellen sorting photos, unearthing buried tenderness. She showed him letters she'd written but never sent, pages filled with pleas for forgiveness, doubts about their flight. Portland's liberal, they say, she murmured, stirring soup on the stove. But it don't heal the heart. We joined a new church progressive. They welcome everyone. Pastor talked about the prodigal son. And I saw you, Link, waiting at the end of the road. Evenings brought stories Tom recounting war tales from Nam, voice steadying as he admitted the prejudices he'd carried home like shrapnel. Lincoln shared fragments of his life, the diner burns, Elias's laugh, the pride floats that had mended his spirit. Laughter crept in, tentative, like sunlight through clouds. One night, as Tom dozed, Ellen pulled out an old Slincoln's 8th birthday, cake smeared on his grinning face. They watched in silence. Then she whispered, "We begged God to change you. Now we're begging you to change us." By week's end, the for sale sign mocked their mending. Scans showed no miracles, but Tom's color returned faintly, enough to sit up for a family dinner takeout tie. Lincoln's pick, spicy enough to make them all tear up. As he boarded the flight home, Ellen pressed a quilt into his arms stitched with Ohio wildflowers, a piece of roots reclaimed. "Come back," she said, voice fierce. "Not for us. For you. We're your home. If you'll have us." Lincoln nodded, the weight lifting fractionally. The plane climbed into the night, Portland's lights winking farewell. And for the first time, he believed in returns, not erasures, but reckonings. Back in Cleveland, the airport bustle felt like rebirth. Elias waiting at arrivals with a bouquet of wilted daisies and that crooked grin. "Rough ride?" he asked, pulling Lincoln close, inhaling the Pacific damp on his skin. Lincoln buried his face in Elias's neck, the steady heartbeat a compass. "Yeah," he murmured, "but I think we're starting over." They drove home through snow-dusted streets, the lake frozen at edges like paused waves. Elias's apartment glowed warm, fairy lights strung haphazardly, a half-finished puzzle of the Golden Gate on the coffee table, his subtle nod to Lincoln's Odyssey. Over mulled wine, Lincoln unpacked the quilt, its folds spilling stories. Elias traced the stitches. Eyes soft. "This is big. Link, you gonna let them in?" The question hung. A precipice. Lincoln sipped, warmth spreading. "Not all at once. But yeah, they're trying. And God, Elias, so am I." They made love that night, slow and deliberate, bodies mapping forgiveness. Elias's whispers a litany of "I love you" that stitched the frayed edges. Spring thawed the city, cherry blossoms rioting pink along the Cuyahoga. Lincoln's shifts at the diner eased into graphic design classes at community college. Elias's encouragement a gentle push. "You've got an eye," he'd say, critiquing Lincoln's sketches of Portland's misty bridges, raw, emotional lines that captured loss and light. Protests ramped up nationwide. Doma crumbling under Supreme Court scrutiny. And Lincoln marched with Elias. Signs aloft, love wins. Chants echoed his thawing heart. Each step a defiance of the isolation that had once defined him. Calls from Oregon became routine, Tom's voice gaining strength. Ellen's laughter freer. She sent clippings, Portland Pride coverage. A church bake sale for AIDS outreach. We're learning, she'd say. Your dad's even volunteering at the food bank says it beats hiding in the garage. Lincoln shared snippets, a portfolio review where his piece on family exile won praise. Elias's promotion to art director. Pride swelled. Not just in his chest, but in the bridge they'd tentatively rebuilt. Yet cracks lingered. Tom's chemo cycles brought relapses. Hospital calls piercing the idol. Lincoln flew west twice more. Each trip layering complexity. The second. In June. Tom gripped his hand during a pain spike. Proud of you, son, he wheezed. For fighting. For being. You. Tears stung. Lincoln squeezed back. Missed this, Dad. Ellen watched, beaming through her own weariness. A family portrait reforming in the sterile room. Elias joined the third visit. Autumn leaves carpeting the airport as they landed hand in hand. Nerves fluttered, introducing his love to the ghosts of rejection. But Tom extended a palm. Voice steady, heard a lot. Welcome, Elias. Ellen hugged him fierce, pressing pie into his hands. Dinners stretched long. Stories overlapping, Elias's boarding school rebellions mirroring Tom's numb doubts. Ellen's quiet admissions of her own hidden longings for adventure. For a life less scripted. Laughter filled the house. A symphony long silenced. One evening, as rain pattered the roof echoing that Ohio storm, Tom pulled Lincoln aside. We moved to forget, he said, eyes clear. But forgetting's a lie. You were always in us. Link. Begging you home now. It's admitting we were wrong. And writing that. Worth every mile. Lincoln nodded. Throat tight. The prodigal returned not in shame, but strength. Back east. Winter gripped Cleveland. But warmth bloomed inward. Lincoln proposed to Elias on New Year's. Under fireworks bursting over the lake, a simple band engraved with unbreakable. Yes came whispered. Fervent. Invites went west, a small wedding in summer. Ohio roots for the ceremony. Portland reception to honor the Ark. Preparations wove threads. Ellen sewing boutonnieres from wildflowers. Tom practicing vows of acceptance in letters. Lincoln's sketches evolved into invitations families fractured. Mended. A visual hymn to resilience. The wedding day dawned golden. A farmstead near Mansfield rented for nostalgia's sake. Guests mingled Elias's eclectic crew of artists and activists. Lincoln's diner pals. A smattering from Portland's progressive flock. Tom walked Lincoln down the aisle. Arm linked steady. Ellen beaming beside. Vows exchanged under an arch of sunflowers, in storms and silences. I choose you. Rings slipped on. Sealing promises. As dusk fell, toasts rose humorous. Heartfelt. Tom's, I once ran from love. Now, I run toward it. To my sons. Applause thundered. Tears flowing free. The dance floor pulsed. Lincoln twirling Elias. Then Tom and a clumsy sway father-son. Unburdened. Months later, a call came. Remission. Tom scans clear. A miracle borrowed. Come visit. He urged. Bring that husband of yours. Lincoln smiled. Elias's hand in his. Home wasn't a place, Anna Marie, it was this. Woven from forgiveness. Fierce and forever. Years folded like quilt layers. Time softening edges without dulling the shine. Lincoln and Elias settled into a row house in Tremont. Cleveland's artsy vein exposed brick walls hung with their joint gallery shows. pieces blending Lincoln's emotive portraits with Elias's bold abstracts. Fatherhood crept in unexpectedly, a foster placement turning permanent. Little Theo with his mop of curls and questioning eyes. Adopted at 3 after a system shuffle. He looks like you, Elias teased, watching Lincoln chase him through leaf piles. The boys giggles a melody of mending. Oregon calls evolved into visits. Season cycling. Summers in Portland, barbecues on the deck. Tom grilling salmon with stories of his latest woodworking gigs benches for the community center. Engraved with welcome all. Ellen dove into advocacy. Volunteering at a youth center for LGBTQ plus runaways. Her quilts donated as comfort wraps. Your courage sparked it, she'd tell Lincoln, hugging him tight. We were blind. Now we see. Theo took to them like roots to soil Grandpa Tom's magic tricks with pocket knives, sans blades. Grandma Ellen's bedtime tales of brave boys who found their way. Did Daddy forget you once? He'd ask innocently one night, curled in Lincoln's lap. The question pierced. But Lincoln met it head-on. They were scared. Buddy. But love. It always finds the road home. Challenges arose. As lives do. Elias's firm downsized. Freelance gigs drying up amid recession whispers. Lincoln's solo exhibit series on queer exile drew acclaim, but controversy. Ohio holdouts picketing with faded signs. Through it. Family anchored. Tom's check in the mail for the art. Son. Ellen's care packages of homemade jams. Tom's cancer-shadowed return visits. Checkups vigilant. But he fought with the grit of a man redeemed. One crisp fall. As Theo started kindergarten. A letter arrived handwritten. Tom's script shaky but proud. Cancer's back. Stage 2. But we're not running this time. Wedding anniversary coming 50 years for your mom and me. Want you here. All of you. Lincoln's heart clenched. Elias's hand steadying. They flew west. Theo wide-eyed at the plane's hum. Portland welcomed with amber leaves. The house festooned in gold. The vow renewal was intimate. Backyard. String lights twinkling. A justice of the peace with rainbow stole. Tom and Ellen. Hands clasped. Renewed. Through trials and turns. I choose you still. Guests few. Neighbors. Church friends. The family now expanded. Theo scattered petals. Elias officiated with wry humor. Lincoln stood witness. Tears blurring redemption, not imperfection. But persistence. Post-ceremony. As stars pricked the sky, Tom pulled Lincoln to the porch swing. Oxygen light glowing faint. Never thought I'd see this. He murmured. Us. Whole. You gave that back. Son. By being true. Lincoln leaned head on shoulder. The boy once abandoned, now the anchor. We all did. Dad. Together. Winter brought Tom's decline. Hospice in the home they'd bought outright after the sale scare. Lincoln shuttled coasts. Elias holding fort with Theo via video calls of fort building and story time. Final days blurred, morphine haze. Tom's hand in Lincoln's. Ellen's hymn soft. Love you. Boy. Tom breathed last. Eyes closing on peace. Graveside. Under Portland's evergreens. Lincoln eulogized. He moved states to forget. But came home to remember. Dad taught me strength isn't silent sights speaking the heart. Even late. Attendees nodded. Theo clutching a wooden bird Tom carved freedom symbol. Spring bloomed defiant. Lincoln's book deal landed. Exile's Return. Memoirs laced with art. Elias illustrated. Theo's doodles interspersed. Launch in Cleveland drew crowds. Oregon tours selling out. Ellen. Resilient at 68. Co-signed the dedication to Tom, who begged us home. Life wove on. Theo's first Crushaw freckled classmate met with Lincoln's gentle counsel. Elias's pride flags waving. Visits to Ohio farm relics. Now a community garden, planted with sunflowers for the wedding arch. Elias and Lincoln renewed vows on their 10th. Theo ring bearer. Ellen matron of honor. In quiet moments, Lincoln traced the quilt on their bed. Threads of wildflowers, a tapestry. From abandonment's reign to redemption's sun. The story wasn't erasure but embrace. They hadn't forgotten. They'd found their way. One begged home at a time. The book tour wrapped in a whirlwind of signings and spotlights. Lincoln's voice steady on NPR's Fresh Air, recounting the hook of that rainy departure without flinching. It's not a fairy tale, he told Terry Gross. Elias listening from the green room with Theo coloring superheroes. It's the mess of real love hurt. Heal. Hold on. Listeners called in. Stories mirroring. Parents reconciling post-Obergefell. Siblings bridging divides. Back home. Fan mail piled letters from young Lincolns in heartland towns. Your words gave me courage. Ellen flew east for the launch party. Her presence a quiet triumph. At the Tremont Gallery, amid wine and whispers, she cornered a cluster of curious straights. My boy wrote the truth we ignored, she said, voice carrying. Pride's not just Paradisit's parents like me. Learning late, but loud. Theo tugged her sleeve. Grandma. Draw a rainbow. She did. Crayon arcs bold on a napkin, pinning it to the wall like a manifesto. Summer simmered with plans, a cross-country road trip. Theo's school break a canvas. They piled into the Subaru, Elias driving. Lincoln navigating via dog-eared maps. Ellen shotgun with snacks. Theo backseat with audiobooks of the Boxcar Children. Route 66 echoes. But westbound, Ohio prairies to Kansas dust bowls. Colorado peaks piercing blue. Stops layered memory. A diner in Tulsa mirroring Lincoln's first shifts, where he sketched patrons' faces. Theo mimicking with crayons. In Utah's Red Rock Canyons. They hiked Zion. Sweat-soaked and awed. Elias snapped photos, Lincoln mid-laugh. Arm around Theo. Ellen trailing with walking stick. Her silver curls haloed in sun. This is the family we built. He captioned later on Instagram. Hearts flooding. Evenings around campfires. Stories spun. Tom's nom grit repurposed for chemo battles. Ellen's church ladies evolving into allies. Theo absorbed. Asking. Why'd Grandpa run? Lincoln paused. Firelight dancing. Fear. Kiddo. But he turned back, that's the hero part. Denver Detour, a queer history museum. Exhibits on Stonewall to Pulse. Ellen lingered at a display on family rejection stats, 40% disownment rates, dear silent. Numbers behind the pain. She murmured. Lincoln hugged her. You beat him. Theo. Oblivious. Chased projections of rainbow flags. His joy a bridge. California coast called last. Big Sur cliffs dropping to Pacific roar. They picnicked on bluffs. Theo building sandcastles at Pfeiffer Beach. Violet glass glinting like jewels. Elias proposed a sequel book over Sunset, Road Home, Generations. Lincoln grinned. With Theo's illustrations. Ellen nodded. And my recipe's rainbow slaw for pride pots. Eastward return traced interstates. Hearts full. Home unpacked with laundry and laughter. Theo starting second grade with tales of the big trip. Elias landed a museum commission. Lincoln's classes filling with eager queers. Ellen extended her stay. Baking pies. Theo's homework helper. Don't want to leave. She admitted one night. Wine glass in hand. Feels like the missing piece. Autumn deepened. Leaves flaming. News broke. Nationwide marriage protections solidified. A SCOTUS seal on love's legality. Celebrations erupted, bars spilling confetti. Streets alive. Lincoln and Elias joined the Tremont block party. Theo on shoulders waving a flag bigger than him. Ellen danced with a neighbor. Her steps lighter than in Portland's rains. Winter whispered Tom's absence. Holidays bittersweet. They flew west for Christmas. The house echoing, but warm stockings hung. Tree twinkling with ornaments from Ohio fairs. Ellen's new partner, widowed widower from the center, joined tentatively, Harold, gentle with bad jokes and steady hands. Theo dubbed him Grandpa Harry, the title sticking easy. Dinner toasts to new beginnings. Harold said, clinking. Lincoln caught Ellen's eye grateful. Glowing. New Year's Eve. Snow blanketing Portland. They watched fireworks from the deck. Theo asleep inside. Elias and Lincoln swayed slow dance. Ellen and Harold murmuring nearby. Full circle, Elias whispered. Lincoln nodded. Stars above a canopy. From a son's exile to a legacy of love-begged home. Now boundless. Theo's questions grew with him. Age 7, a torrent of whys that peeled layers. Why do some kids have two moms or dads? He'd ask at breakfast. Cereal soggy. Lincoln fielded with care. Elias chiming analogies. Families like puzzles, pieces fit different, but whole. Ellen, visiting for spring break. Added folktales. Once, a king banished his daughter for loving a princess. But the kingdom wilted without her heart. Theo's eyes widened. Did she go home? Aye. With trumpets and tears. Schoolyard dramas tested. A bully slur fag dad slung at Theo, who relayed tear-streaked. Lincoln's blood boiled. But Elias counseled cool. Teach. Don't torch. They met the principal. Workshop requested diversity training with Lincoln's book excerpts. Backlash murmured from conservative corners. But allies amplified. PTA queers. Teacher unions. Theo bounced back. Befriending the offender over recess kickball. Kid logic pure. Elias's exhibit opened summer swelter. Threads of return, canvases woven with Lincoln's sketches. Theo's handprints in paint. Gallery night buzzed, critics praising visceral humanism. Collectors bidding. Ellen arrived with Harold, beaming in a pantsuit bold. My boys, she announced to strangers. Arm linked with Lincoln's. Theo, in tiny bow tie. Hawked art to admirers. Proceeds to the youth center. Vacation veered north, Seattle ferry rides. Olympic rainforests misty. They kayaked Puget Sound. Orcas breaching distant. Theo shrieking delight. Evenings in cabins. Ghost stories twisted queer. The specter who loved across graves. Laughter echoed. Bonds tightening, Elias and Harold bonding over fly fishing fails. Lincoln and Ellen hiking ridges. Vistas vast as forgiveness. Fall brought Theo's play, school musical. Him as tree in the giving tree. Front row. Family clapped thunderous. Ellen dabbing eyes. Post-show ice cream. Theo confided, I want to be an artist like you and Papa. Lincoln ruffled hair. World needs more colors. Bud. Challenges crested. Elias's chronic fatigue. Post-viral ghost from a bug. Doctor visits. Rest mandates, Lincoln juggling classes. Theo's carpools. Ellen stepped up. Flying in for weeks. Her presence rock. Mothering twice over. She'd joke. But I shown purpose. Harold's letters followed. She's thriving. Son. Thanks to you. Thanksgiving gathered all. Tremont table groaning turkey. Portland flights converging. Toasts layered gratitude. Theo's for adventures. Elias's for us. Harold's for second acts. Ellen's for home. Lincoln's to begging and being begged. Love's long road. Winter solstice. Theo's 8th birthday. Snow angels in the yard. Cake aflame with candles. Gifts unwrapped, Elias's custom sketchbook. Lincoln's compass necklace, find your north. Ellen's quilt patch, Ohio star. As flakes fell, Theo hugged tight, best family ever. In that circle, Lincoln knew, from fracture to this fullness, the story endured, not ended. but ever unfolding. Adolescence ambushed like Midwest storms. Theo at 10, a whirlwind of limbs and queries. Am I gay too? He blurted one dawn. Backpack slung. Lincoln paused mid-coffee. Elias glancing over comics. Maybe. Maybe not. Lincoln said even. But whoever you love. Will love them more. Theo nodded. Scampering off, curiosity sated. For now. School intensified. STEM fair wins with Elias's robot kits. Art club murals echoing Lincoln's style. Bullying ebbed. But microaggressions nipped teachers offhand, traditional family slips. Lincoln volunteered assemblies. Exiles returned, chapters read aloud. Sparking dialogues. Ellen zoomed in from Portland. Her center work fueling tales. Mentored a kid just like you. Link, Ohio transplant. Scared spitless. Elias's health stabilized. Therapy and yoga a regimen. Joint project bloomed. Graphic novel adaptation of the memoir. Theo storyboarding fight scenes with caped queers. Publisher bites. Hype building con previews. Fan arts flooding. Launch loomed spring. Family caravan to NYC. Road to Big Apple, diner stops. Sing-alongs to show tunes. Ellen and Harold met them midway. Jersey Diner Pie Fest. Broadway detour, rent, tickets. Theo mesmerized by La Vie Boheme. Lincoln teared at Seasons of Love. Elias squeezing hand echoes of their youth. Con buzz electrified. Panels on queer narratives. Signing snaking. Theo hawked merch. Buy for cool dads. Critics raved. Hargrove duo crafts triumph from trauma. Post-party. Hotel suite toasts with mini champagne. To chapters closing. New pages turning. Summer sojourn Portland. Center volunteer stint for Lincoln. Theo shadowing Ellen's sessions drawing with runaways. His empathy innate. Harold taught whittling. Birds multiplying on shelves. Evenings barbecues. Harold's smoker yielding brisket bliss. One dusk. Theo asked Ellen, did you hate Grandpa Tom for running? She knelt. Eye level, hate's heavy. Love. We hurt. But heal together. Fall foliage framed Theo's bar mitzvatizino. Wait. Secular but meaningful, coming-of-age picnic. Family scripting vows to self. Theo pledged, be kind. Create. Love big. Witnesses cheered. Cake smashed faces. Winter whispered loss. Harold's heart gave out shoveling snow. Quiet exit. Ellen's grief raw. Flights east frequent. Theo's hugs her haven. We got you. Grandma. Funeral Portland spring. Cherry blossoms shroud. Eulogy Lincoln's. He begged Ellen home to joy late bloomer. Full bloom. Healing hiked. Ellen relocating partial. Tremont Pi de Terra. Closer to heart. She quipped. Theo's 11th. Telescope unveiling. Stars mapped family constellations Orion for Tom. Cassiopeia for Ellen. Challenges churned. Theo's first crush. Classmate Alex boy. Tentative notes passed. Heart flutters. Playground walks. Lincoln advised, honest. Gentle. Elias, crushes crash. You're the constant. Alex's family warm. Playdates budding. By summer's end. Graphic novel sequels brainstorm Theo's arc woven in. Life's tapestry rich, from begged returns to boundless branches. Love's legacy a living flame. Teen Theo erupted at 13. Hormones a hurricane. You're so last gen. He'd grown at Lincoln's mixtapes. But secretly streamed them. School theater hooked him. Spring awakening audition. Landing Moritz tormented teen. Mirroring echoes. Rehearsals late. Elias picking up with pep talks. Channel the fire. Kid. Ellen settled Tremont halftime. Her center consulting remote. Grandma HQ. Theo dubbed the spare room. Walls papered his sketches. Dates with Harold's memory. Annual whittling workshops. Birds gifted shelters. Elias's gallery solo, roots reclaimed. Ohio motifs queer twisted. Opening night. Theo emceed. Mike nerves slain by applause. Critics, Hargrove's evolution familial. Fierce. Sales funded college fund. Theo's eyes wide. Art pays. Summer camp, queer youth arts in the Adirondacks. Theo's first solo-ish. Letters home gushed, cabin crushes. Pottery wheels spinning identities. Pick up teary new friends hugged. Visit NYC. Lincoln swelled, your world's widening. Bud. Fall frayed, Theo's coming out by. Confided over pizza. Like you and Papa. But. Both. Hugs enveloped. Perfect. School ally club president. Posters plastered. Love, all spectrums. Backlash, principal flack. But petitions prevailed. Winter whoop, family ski trip Poconos. Theo shredding slopes. Lincoln tumbling comedic. Evenings cocoa. Ellen's yarns of Tom's, Ohio ice skates. He fell harder than me. Spring scandal. Theo's play review panned locally. Indoctrination slur. Lincoln op-eded. Art heals divides hate widens. Viral. Support surged fundraisers. Sold out remount. Theo bowed defiant. Stage is my safe space. Summer Road Redux, Southwest Loop. Grand Canyon rims awestruck. Theo journaled. Families like canyons deep scars. Vast views. Evenings stargazing. Constellations renamed. Theo's trail for his path. By fall. High school loomed Theo 14. Braces glinting resolve. Clubs piled, debate. GSA lead. First real date, Alex Redux. Movie nerves. Post-soda debriefs with dad's wisdom. Ellen announced memoir collab, late bloom. Her prodigal parent tale. Your story sparked mine. Theo illustrated covers. Family ink bonding. Life's crescendo, from exile's echo to embrace's anthem. Begged homes now homes built. Enduring. High school hurled Theo into tempests. 15 a forge of fire. GPA soared. AP art acing. But social minefields mined, clique wars. Ghosting crushes. Alex faded amicably. New sparks girl from debate. Boy from band Theo navigating fluid. Labels suck. He vented. Lincoln nodding. Live the loves. Not the tags. Elias mentored murals, school hall spectrum stories. Student portraits queer inclusive. Vandalism struck slurs scrawled but repaints rallied community. News crews capturing Theo's speech. Art's our armor hate can't erase us. Ellen thrived dual life. Portland Center thriving. Tremont her creative nook. Collab book tour. Exiles echoes. Duets drawing crowds. Theo tag-along spring break. QN as his stage. Grandpa Tom's lesson. Regrets reversible. Summer internship. Elias's studio. Theo assisting exhibits. Youth visions. Crushes collided. Co-worker flirt. Ethical dodge. Dads debriefed. Boundaries. Babeheart and hustle. Fall flux. Driver's license. First fender bender. Mailbox mercy. Dates chaperoned loose. Midnight curfews bent. Ellen's romance rekindled. Online widower match. Portland visits blushing. Winter whirl. Family Hanukkah twist adopted tradition. Lax lit. Theo's gift. Custom bird for Ellen. Harold's whittle homage. Ski redux. Black diamond dares. Lincoln sideline snowplow. Spring scandal redux. GSA from theme veto rainbow to political. Petition tsunami. Compromise. Unity under stars. Theo crowned king ironic. Date. Non-binary artist. Twirling spotlights. Summer abroad tease. Italy art tour scholarship. Theo 16 jetting solo-ish. Elias chaperone. Colosseum sketched. Gelato gorged. Vatican whispers queer history. Home journals. Rome's ruins remind empire's fall. Love stands. Fall senioritis, college apps, portfolios polished. Acceptances rolled RISD. SCAD. Ohio State Safety. Theo chose Pratt. Brooklyn bound. Your roots. My wings. He toasted family dinner. Ellen wed partner Mark summer eve. Backyard vows, second chances. First loves. Theo best person. Speech slaying. Grandma. You begged us home, now home begs you joy. By graduation. Theo 18. Cap toss triumphant. Valedictorian nod declined, voiceover spotlight. Party porch. Stars witness, from sun's storm to grandson's soar. Legacy luminous. College catapulted Theo to Brooklyn bustle. 18's edge sharp. Pratt dorms hummed. Figure drawing marathons. Queer collective instant family. Weekends subway to Tremont. Laundry loads and life updates. Prof's a legend Stonewall vet. Crushes casketed sculptor girl. Poet boy Theo's fluidity fluid. Lincoln and Elias empty nest navigated. Date nights rediscovered. Italy echo trip sans kid. Gallery co-op burgeoned. Joint retrospective generations gay. Ellen and Mark Portland honeymooned Hawaii. Postcards paradise. Thanksgiving Theo train home. Tales tumbling. Installation critique wins. Hookup heartaches. Love's lab. Elias quipped. Lincoln. Experiment bold. Winter break. Family ski chalet. Theo teaching tricks. Avalanches averted laughs. Evenings board games. Ellen's late bloom. Sequel brewing Theo ghostwriter chats. Spring surge. Theo's thesis show. Beg threads quilts queer stitched. Family motifs. NYC opening. Flights converged. Lincoln teared at labels. Exile to embrace. Elias snapped candidates. Ellen hugged artists. My grandson's genius. Mark toast. Art's the bag that brings us home. Summer internship MoMA. Theo curating youth queer archive letters like Lincoln's unsent. Stories sinking. Dates deepened. Non-binary partner Riley. Gallery goer with tattooed timelines. Serious-ish. Theo Skyped. Parents grinning. Fall junior jitters. Major shift to interdisciplinary. Politics laced. Protests campus Palestine solidarity. Queerland sharp. Home calls heated. World's broken fixing starts here. Ellen health hiccup. Hip surgery. Mark caregiving. Theo flu aid. Bedside sketches cheering. Recovery rallied. Book tour pivot virtual. Winter whoop. Family Catskills cabin. Snowshoe safaris. Theo's Riley intro hugs easy. Family's queer as kin. Lax lit. Stories spun Tom's ghost warm. Spring senior sprint. Thesis defense dazzle. Riley ringside. Graduation gown glow. Family front row. Lincoln's pride paternal. Elias's paternal plus. Ellen's grandmotherly glow. Post-commence brunch. Theo raised glass. From Ohio rains to Brooklyn beams you begged me roots. I grew wings. Loves the thread. Applause echoed. Legacy landed not end. But endless beg. Theo's post-grad pivot pulsed New York vital. 22's ambition aflame. Studio loft Bushwick. Riley co-renting tattoos traded. Canvases co-created. First solo show Homeward Hooks. Exile motifs modern grandpa's birds in neon. Grandma's quilts pixelated. Critics cooed. Hargrove air hooks heartstrings. Lincoln and Elias road tripped opening. U-Haul Art Hall. Tremont base camped. Gallery night glitz. Theo Mike Master. This is for the runaways find your bag. Sales soared. Proceeds youth housing. Ellen and Mark Portland anchored. But visits verdant. Retiree rebels. Mark joked. Volunteering vets queer. Collab book 3. Begs unbound. Generational gospel. Theo penned forward. Poignant. Summer wedding. Theo and Riley. Rooftop Brooklyn. Skyline Sacrament. Vows. You hooked my chaos home in your hands. Family full, Lincoln walks aisle. Elias officiates rye. Ellen matron with Mark. Theo's by kin blend parents proud. Siblings, new adoptions, flower toss. Fall flourish, Theo adjunct teaching. Pratt Jr.'s mentored. Riley's pottery pop-up. Couple collab clay canvas. Winter wander, family Galapagos. Theo's evolution grant. Isles iguana idyllic. Tortoises timeless echoes endurance. Evenings journals, love adapts. Survives. Spring scandal, Theo's mural MoMA commissioned queer icon street style. Conservative council clash. But installs anyway. Viral vindication. By 23's turn. Theo fathered foster fledgling, 8-year-old Jordan. Trans trailblazer. Cycle spins. He texted parents. Playdates parenting. Legacy looped. Lincoln's fourth book, begged legacies. Elias illustrates. Ellen endorses. Theo afterwards. Tour tapestry coast connected. Story shared. In sunset silences. Lincoln reflects. From truck taillights to Theo's tots. The beg birthed boundless. Home not place. But pulse gay. Graceful. Forever.